structure strategy. So we're about halfway through at this point. So we're going to have structure strategy, and then I'm going to give you some tips, and then we're going to go ahead and bring you on. So if you're thinking to yourself, wow, I have some stuff I want to work through and I want to be the one that she calls on, get ready, because we're gonna give you some coaching right here on the spot. And there's no judgment in any way. I'm sure I've said a couple times. There's no judgment. Yeah, so we just want to serve you today. So let us serve you. Okay, structure strategy. So here's the structure you want to build. Now, it's a little bit different, right? So if you're giving a 10-minute presentation versus a 5-day presentation versus a 1 hour and 30-minute presentation, it's always a little bit different. But in general, here's the structure, right? You have a pre-strategy, which I'm going to share with you what that can be, a presentation design structure, right? That helps drive in your information, and then a post strategy. So these are the 3 things that we're going to talk about in this 3rd section, structure strategy. Okay, so the pre-strategy, ask others what they want to know. Ask others what they want to know. So that 4-pronged, the 4-anchor approach, I might even say, what's your biggest challenge, right? I love that question. What's your biggest gap right now? That if we answered that in this presentation, that it would feel like you spent your time here well. Right? I love using that line. I use it a lot. I say, okay, if you're going to sit here for an hour, if you were to learn one thing, what would it be? Well, how can we make this successful for you? Right? So again, it depends on your audience. If you did that in a CompStat meeting, it might not make a ton of sense, right? So it really depends on your audience. But I might say to someone, just like I did to you, I said, what is it that you want to know about public speaking? What is it that you want to know? And many of you said, I want to know how to build my confidence. Well, now we have buy-in. We have a relationship building. Ask others what they want to know. So if you're getting up in front of a podium of 200 people, ask them, what do you want to know? Have a board that you're writing it down in. That's what we did in Saudi Arabia when I was teaching out there a couple of months ago. We did a 5-day course for military and police on building analytical capacity. And I said, what do you want to know? What that allows us to do is identify the key gap areas. And it also, if the presentation is not directed toward that, then it allows us to have feedback as to what else they want to learn about. But one of the greatest ways that you can utilize this is a flipboard. So I had this flip chart going, and I wrote down everything in Saudi Arabia that they wanted to learn about. And as we learned it, I would say this. I would say, okay, you wanted to learn about data quality improvement strategies, because it was written right there, right? So you wanted to learn about data quality strategies, improvement strategies. We've just discussed 3 strategies. Do you feel like you have some tools to help move you forward? And they would say yes, and I would exit out, and I would cross it right off, and I'd say, great, let's move on to the next topic. Right? This is a wonderful tool that you can use to really connect with your people. And if it's a virtual training like this, maybe you scribble it down. An in-person training, it's wonderful to be able to write it down and then show them that you're crossing it off so that you all are connecting about what you're delivering. All right. A pre-strategy too is to practice, just practice, just do it, just do it, just practice. Get in front of a mirror, get in front of people, practice. The more you practice, the more confident you feel. So at this point in my career, I present quite a bit, and sometimes I will be put on the spot and someone will say, oh, Dawn is gonna present, and I'm like, what? No one ever told me that. But I don't say that. I just hold it in and then I present. My chief actually did that to me a few months ago. He introduced me to the command staff and he said, okay, Dawn, tell us, and I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 minutes about everything that you do. I was like, okay, here we go. So you've got to practice because it really gives you tools for when you're put on the spot. It gives you tools to be successful in one-on-one conversations as well as in group settings. Meditate or sit quietly. So before this presentation here, I took about 10 minutes and I listened to some music. So for me, I love violins. I think they sound so calming, so relaxing. And so I listened to some violins. I know it's odd, but that's what I enjoy. And that just kind of centers me and gets me connected for the delivery, right? So plug some time into your day to do that. All right. And then envision success. So instead of envisioning like I'm nervous, right? Oh, good, Brittany. I'm so glad you love that music too. And so envisioning success, I envisioned this training. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have the opportunity to impact 388 people. I know that they're going to walk away at least with one thing each that they're going to do. Hopefully, intentionally, they're going to walk away with 10 things to do. They're going to walk away a little bit more confident. And so I envisioned all of this happening. Okay. So envision your success. This is your pre-strategy, envisioning your success. Now, the presentation design flow looks like this. You have a cover page that says what you're going to talk about, right? So public speaking, that's my cover page. And then a little page about you. Now, you might not need a page about you in your CompStat meeting, right? But maybe for a presentation that you're delivering to ISCA, you're going to want a picture of you in there and maybe a little bit about who you are, right? And be careful here because you don't want to ramble on about all the reasons why you're so fabulous, right? We know you're fabulous. And so some people go either way. They talk forever about how fabulous they are because they want to prove that they're amazing, or they don't say anything at all. Get somewhere in the middle, maybe 2 or 3 key things that you have done that really gives some validity to who you are, and that there's a purpose for why you're there. So that's a good technique. Talk about the 3 things that you're going to talk about, right? Say them out loud. Here are the 3 things that we're going to talk about today. And then the why. Don't forget this. Why we are talking about this, right? Why we are doing this. Get focused in on that why every single time. And it's important to do this because when you're giving your presentation, you might kind of float a little bit, and knowing your why will bring you back to, oh, the purpose is for them to walk away with tools. Is my story too long? Am I going over my time? The purpose is for them to walk away with tools. So get your purpose down. Starting the sections with the same images. You'll notice that I started all my sections with this little circle, right? Let's see if we can back it up a little bit. There you go. There it is. The structure strategy. Every single new section started with a little circle and then with the 3 things that we're going to talk about. Okay, so have that consistency, that flow happening. Here's the circle, it's up, it's a new session. Here are the 3 points that we're going to talk about. Deliver the 3 points, and then your content recap, right? So you noticed in this presentation, I told you what we were going to talk about. We talked about the 3 things, and then I recapped what we were talking about, right? Yes, Rebecca, knowing your why is so important. And so that you repeat this structure, right? And then at the very end, you're going to have your summary and your questions. But keep it clean, keep it, consistent, clean and consistent. Not a lot of things flowing in, and not a lot of, blinks and, kind of live stuff like that can just get overwhelming and confusing. Keep it simple. And now your post strategy. What do you do when you're done? What happens? So if you have told people, hey, I don't know the answer to that, I'm gonna go find the answer to that and I'm gonna follow up with you, make sure you follow up. Okay. Provide follow-up. That has to be primary. That has to be key. And that's why I said to all of you, write your questions in the chat. I'm going to review all the questions and I'm going to make sure that every single one of them were answered during this presentation. And if not, I'm going to get back to you. And you betcha I am. I absolutely am. Okay. So provide the follow-up that you promised to provide. That is key. Okay, now many of you will deliver a presentation and the first thing you do, someone says to you, great job. And you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this, or, oh, I didn't say that, or I forgot that, or I spoke too quickly, or I didn't tell them what I wanted to tell them. So you automatically go to the negative. So I'm going to pause for a moment here. This is critical. This is critical. Write this one down. Assess what worked first. What was amazing? That's you, Gretchen. Yeah. So for Gretchen and for any of you who are just like Gretchen, who you automatically find what you did wrong. I'm sure I've done 50 things wrong during this presentation already, including my Italian coming out, using my hands way too much, right? Kamika, this is you too. So we can say these things to ourselves the first thing, but that's only a small portion of the presentation. So the first thing you want to do is highlight what worked. right? Highlight what worked. Highlight what worked. And so that's going to help build your confidence too. So when I walk away from this presentation, it's going to be very easy for me to say, oh, Dawn, you screwed up in this way. But instead, what I'm going to say, Dawn, what worked? And one of the things that works great is interacting, the chat. That worked fantastic. One of the things that worked great is geotime, setting this up, delivering social media, getting folks enrolled, taking care of all that. One of the things that worked great, is the questions ahead of time and ensuring that we answered them for you. So assess what works well, what worked well first. Then you can only identify one or two growth areas. Do not give yourself a big, huge laundry list of everything that's bad about your presentation. Okay, tell yourself, okay, this worked great. I'm going to do that again. Second, these are the one or two, that's it, the one or two areas of improvement that I'm going to make. So I might say to myself at the end of a presentation, this is something that works very well. And then I might say, I really want to focus my next presentation on limiting my ums. That's the only thing I'm going to focus on limiting my ums. Right? So you have one or two things that you're focusing on, not the 50 things that you think you did wrong. All right. So that's important. Growth areas, one or two. Okay, so structure, that's what we're talking about right now. Practice and envision your success, right? Envisioning your success, practicing your pregame, right? This is the pregame. This is what happens before the show. So envision your success, practice, ask those questions. Does that develop that quality design flow? Those three key areas, right? The circles to start, the tell them what you're going to tell them, the meat and potatoes, and then a recap in some what you have said. Okay. And then at the end, praising yourself. Dawn, you did a good job. Here's what you did really well. And then only working on one or two areas of improvement. Only one or two. All right.